Hi guys and welcome to my channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please do to support this channel. Today we're going to be talking about Carre Otis, or also known as Carre Otis. Born on September 28, 1968, she is an American model and actress. She was born in San Francisco and raised in Martin County, California, along with her older sister Chris and her younger brother Jordan. She attended Marian Academy in San Rafael, California, and the John Loomis School in Nevada City, California. Otis ran away from home at the age of 16. A year later, while living with an abusive boyfriend in San Francisco, Otis was scouted by Look Model Agency and was initially signed to Elite Model Management in New York by John Casablancas. She first achieved fame after being sent to Elite in Paris when she appeared on the cover of French Elle in April 1986. Over the next several years, she appeared on covers in the American and foreign editions of Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Cosmopolitan, Allure, Mirabella, and Marie Claire. In 1991, Bruce Weber photographed Carre Otis in San Francisco, California. Otis appeared in ads for Guess Jeans, Calvin Klein, and the 1996 Pirelli calendar, also posed for the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition in the 2000s. Otis is the model on the poster above the character Rusty Griswold's bed in the 1989 film National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Otis was also featured in 1990 and 2000's issue of Playboy magazine. She has walked the runway for Max Mara, Dolce & Gabbana, Gucci, Hermano Cervino, Todd Oldman, and Donna Karan. In 1989, she made her acting debut in the film Wild Orchid opposite future husband Mickey Rourke. Stills from the film's climactic sex scene were sold to Playboy and were the subject of a lawsuit filed by Otis. Otis would later appear in another Rourke's film, Exit in Red. After the end of her marriage to Rourke, Otis gradually resumed modeling. In the 2000s, she became one of the oldest models to appear in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, although Christie Brinkley at 34 and Sherry Diggs at 42 were featured prominently in the 25th anniversary edition, released in 1989. Shortly thereafter, Otis began recovering from anorexia nervosa. As part of her recovery, she experienced a weight gain that offered her the opportunity to work as a plus-size model, most notably as the face of Marina Rinaldi and editorials for Mode magazine. In 2003, Otis became a spokesperson for National Eating Disorders Awareness Week. She also appeared periodically as a correspondent on Channel 4 News in San Francisco. In August 2003, Otis posed for a PETA ad campaign promoting vegetarianism and animal rights. In 2005, she represented the Braille jewelry line. She is on the advisory board of the Model Alliance and an ambassador for the National Eating Disorders Association. Beauty Disrupted, a memoir in 2011, is an autobiographical book by Otis and Hugo Schweitzer. Otis tells the story of her life and modeling career. She details abuses she suffered, including being raped countless times as a young girl by Gerard Marie, the head of Elite Model Management's Paris office. During her marriage to actor Mickey Rourke, she claims she was abusive and even threatened to kill himself if she didn't marry him, that he was abusive to her. Otis developed 3 holes in her heart during her modeling career. Otis is a vegetarian. From June 1992 to December 1998, she was married to Wild Orchid co-star Mickey Rourke, and in 1994, Rourke was arrested for spousal abuse. The charges were later dropped. In 2005, she married chemical engineer Matthew Sutton. They have 2 children. At the age of 54, Vogue model Carre Otis lands her first major modeling job in 20 years after rocking the 90s with Guess ads and a marriage to Mickey Rourke. Carre Otis is back in a big way. The 50-year-old Marin County, California native has landed an ad campaign opposite Julianne Moore for Hourglass Cosmetics, which she said she likes because 5% of the unlocked lipstick proceeds are donated to support animal welfare. It has been 20 years since Otis, who was a guest pin-up and was also married to her Wild Orchid co-star Mickey Rourke, landed a high-profile modeling job. Carre looked stunning with her grey hair slicked back as she added ruby red lipstick. "Thank you to these powerhouse women that I was honored to share a day with in New York," her caption began. She then listed more, as well as Tringsby, Joventura, Sulcana, Sydney Chen, Shonali, and Amy Nielsen. "And a massive thank you to the stellar team that helped to make the magic happen," she wrote in her caption as she credited her glam team. The star has been active on social media for decades. She is the founder of Bear Mama Project and works with Model Alliance to address the lack of protections that models still don't have. The cover girl has been married to Matthew Sutton since 2005, and they live in Sonoma County with her teen daughters Kaya and Jade. It has been 20 years since she ruled the runway with her contemporaries Christy Turlington, Naomi Campbell, and Cindy Crawford. In the new image, Carre looked incredible as she wore a cream-colored dress with a cutout on top. Otis was one of the biggest supermodels of the 90s as she posed for guests and became a frequent Vogue cover girl. When Otis was cast in the 1990 sex thriller Wild Orchid with Rourke, then proceeded to marry the bad boy of cinema, the brunette bombshell reached superstar status. When she was wed to Rourke from 1992 to 1998, their relationship turned chaotic. In Beauty Disrupted, a memoir, she said she was shot in the chest after Mickey stashed a handgun in her bag without letting her know. The bullet hit just 2 inches from her heart. "We were on a set in Santa Fe, Mickey was working, and there was a horrific accident," Carre has said in the past. "There was a gun, his gun, it was in a bag. Carre threw the bag down and the gun went off. I was hit with a 35-7 bullet," she said. "It was about 2 inches from my heart. It exited through my shoulder. I was really unbelievably lucky that it didn't hit a bone." And in another article for Grazia magazine, Carre shares that she was abused by one of the most powerful men in fashion. The former supermodel sheds light on her terrifying experience. "Like most people, as a teenager, I thought modeling was glamorous, and from the outside my career was everything I could have hoped for. My face featured in nearly every glossy magazine on sale, but behind the style and success was a much sadder reality. Modeling for me was a dream I believed could save me. I ran away from home at 16, and a year later I was scouted in San Francisco, assigned an agent, and flown to New York. I lived with other young aspiring models in a rundown model's apartment and slowly began to realize I wasn't quite safe. Popular models in the United States in the 80s at the time all had a similar look, big blonde hair like Christy Brinkley. My image didn't quite match that aesthetic, and when I didn't get the instant success my agent was hoping for, I was sent to Paris. I was told by the head of the New Faces division that I would be living with the European Chief of Elite Model Management, President of Euro Division of Elite Model Management, and that this would be good for my career. I naively thought so and assumed I have been chosen because I was special. In reality, I was handpicked because with no family or guardian looking out for me, I was vulnerable and alone. That may be easy to control." The power imbalance between models and agents is evident as soon as you become part of the industry, but as a kid I didn't really understand the systematic issues at play. All the girls around me were young and many were at risk. From brokers, from bookers to photographs to agents, there was often someone wielding power over us. Still, I hung on to the hope that this was going to be my big break until the night that Mary first assaulted me. From that moment, my world instantly came crashing in, and I realized just how unsafe and alone I really was. Like most survivors, I completely disassociated in order to survive. I lived in a state of hypervigilance, my eating disorder intensified, I was overtaken by deep depression, and I instantaneously became incredibly fearful of the opposite sex. I was 17 when my abuse took place in 1986, and Murray was living with his partner Linda Evangelista, who he married a year later. I constantly compared myself to her and felt so much shame over what had taken place when she was out of town and completely unaware of what he was doing. I was a minor, a victim of abuse, yet I entirely blamed myself for everything Mary did to me. Quickly I realized I would only be permitted to continue working as a model if I allowed my abuse to continue. That was a terrifying threat hanging over my head. Mary held the power in every aspect of my life. He owned the roof over my head, provided my clothes, paid for my metro card, everything. I had no money of my own, and the agency kept my passport. I was completely at the mercy of my aggressor. To this day, it makes me sad that there was nobody there to protect me. None of the adults around me acted like adults, and photographers and bookers either participated in the abuse or were complicit by choosing to look the other way. For me, there was no such thing as a safe grown-up. Later that year, I was trafficked to Milan and put in another awful model's apartment and slept on a mattress on the floor. That was punishment for pushing back against my abuse. I stopped being called to go to castings, stopped being given work, and flew back to America 8 months later. After living off the grid in a friend's cabin with no electricity or running water for several months, I began to model for catalogs to earn a living, and it was a revelation that the job could be totally predictable and professional. I wasn't expected to parade around in my underwear during a casting. I had a 9 to 5 schedule, I was given a lunch break, things I would never dreamed of in Europe. To protect myself, I created this badass persona that eventually became Carre Otis. I was an invincible motorbike chick who wore leather jackets and wasn't about to ever let anybody hurt me again. But underneath it all, I was trying to rebuild my ability to trust. The entire time I was abused, I assumed that it was only happening to me, but 14 other women have now filed testimonies to a prosecutor in Paris claiming they were sexually assaulted by Marie. Meeting them has been powerful but also profoundly sad. It's evidence of just how pervasive and systematic the abuse in the modeling industry is. Currently, France's statute of limitations means sexual abuse has to be reported within 20 years or 30 if you are a minor. That regulation makes me so angry for all of us. It's a system designed to protect perpetrators instead of to honor and protect survivors. Often survivors can't admit what has taken place for years, and without another person coming forwards whose case falls within these statutes, our criminal investigations into the abuse we all suffered may well lead to nothing. We have been screaming industry abuse for so long, but there seems to be a mentality that if you look a certain way, it's acceptable for you to endure sexual harassment and assault. I struggle to understand in what world that can make any sense. It's absolute discrimination. Right now, there's a powerful uprising. People are waking up from a slumber and realizing that the conditions we have been told to accept in the modeling industry are not okay. For survivors, of course, there will always be a fear of coming forwards, but we are stronger and safer together. Real change can and will happen. It's my civil responsibility to make the world a safer place for women and girls, and I'm determined to succeed. I now know that I'm not alone. Gerald Marie remains under police investigation in France and is presumed innocent. A lawyer for Gerald Marie has stated that he firmly objects to the false allegations made against him. She added, "He remains calm and refuses to participate in the fallacious and dishonest media controversy that has been fomented more than 30 years later. He is withholding his statements for the justice system in which he has complete faith." In another article for Vogue, the 80s supermodel Carre has revealed how she sacrificed her health in order to maintain her model proportions. "I realize now that my obsession with weight started when I was 13 years old," she tells the January issue of Glamour magazine. "When someone from my model agency told me that I was getting fat, to me it meant that I was a failure and a loser." Otis, who was formerly married to Mickey Rourke, eventually realized the heavy price she was paying to attain physical perfection when, at the age of 30, she began to experience seizures and fainting episodes. "I would lose about 10 pounds in a fortnight. In 1999, I literally starved myself to get in shape for the 2000 Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue," she recalls. "When I started fainting, doctors discovered that I had a hole in my heart and needed surgery. I believe my health problems were caused by the way I starved myself." Having now reevaluated her life, Otis' health is her main priority. "I knew it was time to start caring for my body," she explains. "I was finally able, psychologically and emotionally, to commit to making myself healthy." I hope you guys have liked this video. Please comment down below what your thoughts are on Carre Otis's life and career, and thank you so much for watching this with me. Please like and subscribe to this channel to support upcoming more videos. Thank you so much, and I wish you a lovely day. Stay healthy.